Yeah,
soften
because
up
the
and
ego sees contraction as strength and solidity. The spirit, if you want to use that word, or consciousness, or however you like to see it, the true self sees expansion as the way and sees contraction as a temporary kind of unknowing response. It's an egoic impulse. It's a knee jerk. But as I say, it's so ingrained in the system. This is the genius of the Illuminists. This is the genius of the Masonic system of this extreme stratification of knowledge,
mm,
that fear prevents personal discovery from the roots. It cuts them off at the roots. There is no personal discovery for anybody who has a life of fear, however intelligent and capable they are. And I know some extremely intellectual people who are some of the stupidest motherfuckers in the universe because they live a life that is intoxicated with fear.
right. So if 'cause I think we pretty much see it the same way in terms of the whole species being one consciousness, one organism, one energy of awareness.
Yeah, I
Uh,
think it's indisputable when you go to the right level, yes.
so if that would that consciousness presumably would have natural cycles of expansion and contraction in itself, regardless of what individuals were doing, would you say that the consciousness of humanity
Yes,
has been
absolutely, yeah.
contracting for, I mean, the whole, the Julian Jaynes thing, the formation of the ego would relate to
Yeah.
contraction of consciousness.
Yeah, I think you can kind of again take a number of different maps, like Julian James's stuff, Gene Gebser's ideas of consciousness structures. Also, the Mayan calendar is, again very popularized at the moment, but it's still fascinating and well worth study.
Mm,
In that you get these shifts of consciousness and it undulates, and as you say, it's on and it's off, and it moves and it grows and it shrinks, it radiates, and then it becomes dull and grey and metallic, and then other times it's vibrant and scarlet and organic, and depending on where you appear, where the laser dot appears of your life, obviously your view of those times is going to be pretty much coloured by the temporal space. However, once you go into the fourth dimensional space, it doesn't really work like that. It's seen as an entity, it's seen as an organism. So, life is essentially an organic process.
mm,
And it seems to be that the trick is, the magic sort of mysterious truth is that it can only be reported back on, shall we say, with the necessity of an amnesic cutoff. So it's as if you can't do it while you're connected to the source. You have to be cut off, go out with your blob of consciousness, do what you do, come back and say, okay, well, this is what I found this time. With separation, if the supreme entity is omnipresent, it is a singularity. It cannot separate itself out to analyze or observe itself. So it has to create a space, a binary system in
mm,
which to observe and discover its own awareness. And it does feel to me that our universe is that system of discovery. The universe wants to discover, it wants originality and creativity and novelty, and that's what it does. And it does it through consciousness, and consciousness is conducted and channeled through everything, basically. And humans are a very obvious and apparent example, but it's conducted the same way through a rock or through a tree or through a blackbird or through a dolphin, whatever. Everybody conducts consciousness and everything conducts consciousness. And it's the greatest kind of crime ever for humans to think we're the only ones doing it. Of course we're not. There's billions of planets and billions of galaxies. Kind of everybody's up to the same game.
mm. Would you say we have some special luxury of actually going against our divine program, and that might lead to some sort of aberration that so we wind up in quarantine, something like that?
Yeah, I think you're spot on actually. It's funny that data comes from very tenuous sources, doesn't it? But it feels as though it could be the case that something has been messed around with a long time ago, and humans have found themselves in this kind of slightly paradoxical and ridiculous slave situation. And it's as if the other entities, benign presences in the galaxy and further. I said, okay, well, we can't let these people go anywhere until this is resolved, and there seems to be some free will principle at work, or some, shall we say, free form mapping principle at work that says then they have to do it themselves.
Mm.
Nobody's going to help them. So, in the same way that we talked about the mountain and walking on foot and the jetpack and everything, um, they know it's not going to help us if a big UFO lands in the middle of, Times Square or Leicester Square or wherever in London, and they say, okay, listen, you guys, this is the way it is. This is how you get out of it. This is how you solve the problems, and thanks very much, and we'll see you next time. That can't happen because we haven't kind of trodden the path and gone on the journey just yet. There's still quite a long way to go. So intervention is for me is unlikely.
Unless it was a simulation, would you say?
Yes, unless it's yeah, yeah. I mean, one of the first things that I wrote, going back to kind of introducing who I am and what I do, was about Project Bluebeam, and a number of sites took it up, like Rents and David Icke and stuff, and it was a nice little bit of traffic input early on, and I was basically educating people what Bluebeam is, and UFOs and projecting divine entities of Christ and Allah and Buddha and this, that, and the other. And it would have a profound effect because for those who are living an egoic life, it would be inescapably magnetic and inescapably prophetic in its laying down of various reality tunnels. So it's a very it's a very good thing to be aware of, because when it happens, you instantly have, if you know about Project Bluebeam, which is a 10-minute read, it's nothing heavy. If you understand what Project Bluebeam is, you have a very good filter through which to put things. So when you see phenomenon, and in our world, there's lots of it. Some of it is primary phenomena, some of it is epiphenomena, but it's all over the place in one form or another. You need to know that some of it can be simulated, and you need to know that some of it is inauthentic, shall we say. So it's important to be aware of that.
Well, isn't that what the whole game's about from the Masonic perspective? Is just to create a surrogate of everything, essentially an untruth, to create another reality which is the truth can't have access to. So they have to simulate.
It seems to be it seems to be there's some divergence for some, kind of round about 2012-ish, and convergence for others. And I keep coming across the same theme. And again, it's, nobody really knows this, but you can trace the sort of, fractal impressions of this through media and through channeled materials and through dreams and through philosophy. There seems to be a crossroads that is reached at that point where there is, in my view, a divergence, and for some it will be apocalyptic, for some it will be nothing, for some it will be rapturous, and for some it will be whatever. So it's a personal expression, and the level of consciousness has something to do with how that can be used as an opportunity. So kind of for some people it will be very limited opportunity, for others it will be a tremendous opportunity. So it's not a light switch moment. I always emphasize this about 2012. It's just a kind of curve of a line, and I don't expect it to necessarily peak on the 21st of December and all that stuff. It may well do, but the point is not that. The point is, how are you shaping your consciousness? How are you discovering your own place in the universe as this inevitable shift, which you can feel if you really look out for it. You can feel it in your bones. This shift is upon us. It's happening today, right now, and it's just getting stronger every day. And lots of things that we thought were really permanent are beginning to somehow become less dense, and that can be felt whatever your level of spiritual attainment is. So that's important, and it's something we should pay heed to. It's not a game, it's not a toy, it's not a sideshow to the job you do. It's as I say, it's the only game in town.
Mm. Well, yeah, I've also had this feeling my whole life, but I mean, 10 years ago I thought it was around the corner, and and I still feel like it's around the corner. So I wonder if it always feels like it's around the corner. But then you see that
Hmm.
more and more people are not necessarily getting ready for, but somehow getting psyched up for something major, whether it's major bad or major good or both or